Hello, Namaste, Sat Shri Akal. Welcome to SS Tutor. In today's class, we are going to discuss some method of teachings. The first would be lecture method and after that discussion method. So let's start. Before we start, if this video is helpful to you, please like, share and subscribe to this channel. With the lecture method, we are going to follow this sequence. First, we will discuss introduction or what is lecture method, when to use lecture method, some advantages of lecture method and steps that lecturer have to follow, and lastly we will discuss some disadvantages of lecture method. So, introduction says lecture method is the most convenient and inexpensive method of teaching any subject. Means you can say the cheapest form of teaching method and no need of any kind of TLMs. In this method, the only teacher does the talks and the students is a passive listener. Students are inactive in this method and lack of learning by doing. In the field of education, lecture method is used very frequently. This method is used in order to acquire a knowledge and a concept in short duration. Move to our next point, when to use the lecture method. It is used to give an overview of a large unit. Being a teacher, sometimes you have a very short time and cover up a large part of your syllabus. Then teacher can use this lecture method. It is used for supplementing the students' reading and for clarifying the main concept, mainly focused on the important part of syllabus. This method is used to provide a background. While you are going to begin something new to the learner, you can give an important background to the students. This method helps to save the time of students by providing important information in a short time periods. Also good for the learners too and informative at the same time. Now we are going to look at some advantages of lecture method. First, the vast reach in a short time, which means number of audience or students are not fixed. Second, it helps students to develop their listening skills. Means learners who are good in catching and informative parts by listening. So, third, the habit of concentrating may be developed among the students. Like continuity in the lecture method also enhance the concentration among the students. This method is also known as traditional method and teacher-centered method because from the Gurukuls it's used in educational field. Lecture method is systematic, logical, impressive and cheap as well. Now we are going to look at some steps of a lecture method that should be followed by the lecturer while taking lecture. So first, presentation for the lecture. Like lecture should be in organized manner and also take care of a time limits or vocabulary. Introduction to the lecture. This should be done in a brief, otherwise it may kill the enthusiasm of the students. Give the body of the lecture. Teacher should be give in a cognitive framework upon which he relies that achieve or a more logical presentation. Conclusion of the lecture. This is the last step that is followed by the lecturer. This steps used for wrap up the lecture, summarizing the major point that is presented. Moving further, now we are going to discuss disadvantages of lecture method. Boring and tiresome. Because this method is a teacher center and learners are passive or inactive. Against learning by doing. Lack of student activity. Learners are passive listener. In this method, teachers are center and that is why students are passive. Lack of students participation. Since this is a teacher centered method, so it provides a very little scope for the student activities. The last one is consider strong and weak students in the same phase. Individual difference are not taken into consideration. So now we are going to move our second method, that is discussion method. First we will look at what is discussion method, a brief introduction of discussion method. Next, discuss types of discussion method, and after that, uses of discussion method, and last, some advantages and disadvantages of discussion method. So let's begin. So, introduction says a discussion method is the means by which people share experiences, ideas, and attitude. Means, in a simple word, exchange of ideas. Discussion involves two-way communication between participants, develop arguing and logical thinking. During discussion, the teacher spends some time to listen while the student spends some time to talking. Means having a critical thinking. It is an activity of sitting and talking about a specific subject. Now we are going to look at some types of discussion method. Basically, there are three types. First is a small group discussion technique. Basically, all students are allowed to discover and engage in active learning. Second is socialized classroom discussion technique. Children are discovering, questioning, reporting, and working in a natural way. And last is panel discussion technique. Basically, there is a 4 to 8 qualified person discuss on a given topic. Now, where and how we use discussion method. First, identify the objectives. Before starting any classroom discussion, be sure to write the objectives where anyone can see it, read it loud aloud. Establish clear guidance and parameters for the classroom discussion. While these guidelines may help your classroom and may also provide a more rigid environment in which students are less willing to speak freely. Provide opportunities for students to prepare for the discussion. Students are much more likely to participate if they are familiar with the topic or your discussion. Think, pair, share. Share their ideas with the group or the partner in which they are divided. Think about the question and then discuss, and then they are going to share that. Talking about advantages of discussion method. First, thinking and communicating power. Overall, students are able to discuss while they have that level of thinking and communicating power. Leadership quality. Yes, leadership quality enhanced or improved. Expression ability. A logical or systematic way to describe themselves or their point of view. Problem solving ability. Yes, taking their feet first in any discussion if they are familiar to the topic. And creative motivation and confidence. Speaker felt very confident if they think in a creative way and they are motivated from their fellow mates and their group, and at the end they feel confident. So this method also has some disadvantages. First, there is a chance that only a few students may dominate the whole discussion. Students and learners are curious and attention seeker. So that is why they always try to answer first or answer more. So there must be a chance only a few students are part of discussion. Not adaptable to all teaching learning situation. All students cannot have a same kind of catching or learning power. That is why the method is not adapted to all teaching learning situation. If it is not properly guided, the discussion can be degraded into a consideration of inappropriate topic, adding a confusion rather than a clarification to the lesson. A powerful guide by the teacher in a classroom or a part of discussion so that learner may not go on a wrong track. And last, it's take lots of time, a kind of time consuming method. Thanks for watching. If this video is helpful to you, please like, share and subscribe for the more videos.